Hey friends, Ash here with Gents with another fragrance review, coming at you with a mismatched cap and a child's Atari shirt. Don't judge me on my shirt though, this is throwback, this is cool. I'm coming at you today with another niche review since this is niche and indie week, and I know that you wish that this was a review on Mancera Instant Crush. I know that you wish that. Maybe I'll get to that in the future and bring you the content that you so much desire. But today, we're taking a look at a fragrance from Olfactive Studio. This one is called Woody Mood. I'm kind of a sucker for Olfactive Studio. I'll talk about that more in just a second. Today, I'm reviewing a tester, so no presentation. I know, some of you very happy because some of you hate the presentation part of the video. But enough talking, let's jump into this. In case you're unaware of Olfactive Studio, they are a fragrance house that kind of matches up photography with scent. So each one of their fragrances has a professional photograph associated with the scent, which kind of helps bring the whole package together. So this is a tester. That means it came with no box. It does come with a cap though, that's nice. Some testers don't come with a cap. But I do own multiple full presentations of Olfactive Studio fragrances. So here's my presentation for Still Life in Rio, just so I can kind of show you how it would look if you bought Woody Mood as it comes. The fragrance would sit inside here, and then you would have a photograph, which is from the fragrance. On the back, Olfactive Studio, and then the photographer's name. So if you don't get the full presentation and you get the tester like I did here, that's what you're gonna be missing out on. The Woody Mood photograph looks like this, which is supposed to kind of tell a little bit of a story with the fragrance itself. You put them together, the photograph and the scent. And just kind of a semi-pro tip here. Right now, as of this video, so in the future, if you're watching this like a year from now, then sorry, you probably missed out. But as of this video, there are a lot of testers of Olfactive Studio fragrances on FragranceNet. I'm gonna leave a link in the description for the ones that they have right now, but they're going for cheap, around $55, I think, after discount, which for a niche fragrance in a 100 milliliter size, it's a great price, especially since these come with the cap again, because a lot of testers don't come with the cap and then it kind of screws up the way it looks. So all of that out of the way, let's talk about the fragrance. This one opens up with ginger and saffron sitting underneath an earthy incensey accord right off the bat. It's a little resinous in the opening and it has almost an organic, slightly dirty sweetness to it. Initially, it's not overly woody. It's earthy incensey and has some warm balsamic resins. After about 10 minutes though, that earthy feeling starts to kind of fade away and then the woods start to come to the fore. There's a little bit of herbaceousness as it moves into the mid, but the main thing that you'll smell being added to the mix is a brown leather, which kind of mixes together with the incense from the opening. And then again, a little bit of that resinous sweetness starts to pick up even more in the mid. Cacao is listed as one of the notes here, and that may contribute a little bit to the sweetness in the fragrance, but it definitely does not come across like a gourmandy chocolate note whatsoever. The cacao here actually comes across slightly spiced. And the woody note that's used in this fragrance is officially sequoia. So that is the type of wood that they're trying to get across in this scent. And honestly, it does match up pretty well with the way that it smells, and again, being kind of intertwined with the picture that's associated with this scent. Sequoia is a pretty good choice. The fragrance is a little bit dark, but it's not foreboding. It does smell really similar to being just in the middle of a forest surrounded by large looming trees with maybe a little bit of upturned earth around you. So the fragrance does do a good job of conveying that photograph, that feeling. Like I said, it's a dark fragrance, but not foreboding. It's not harsh, not rough around the edges. It's not really super challenging, none of that. More so, it's just dark because of the incense, the woods, the spikenard, and the leather. Those notes in combination just give off that dark feeling, kind of like just the feeling of evening deep in the woods. And more so, the name Woody Mood is just evocative of what this scent is. It's a moody fragrance based off of woods. incense, trees, flecks of spice, and a dollop of resinous sweetness. That's this fragrance. Once it hits the full dry down, this one does change just ever so slightly. The woods become a little more prominent to me, and it actually makes me think or be reminded of old wood in a really pleasant way. It reminds me of the smell of wood in old houses from the late 1800s, early 1900s. There are a number of houses like that around here. And back when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I did a little work with my stepfather. So like installing windows, basically. And some of those old houses, just the wood framing around those really old windows, or just some of the old wood that was used in the construction of the houses originally, it carries its own scent. And if you've ever smelled, you know, an old house, an old wooden house, you probably know what I'm talking about. In the dry down, Woody Mood reminds me of that. It just has this scent to it that's almost like the scent of air in an old house. Not an old, decrepit, falling apart house, one that's been kept up, but houses like that just have a certain scent to them, and it's something that just doesn't go away, and that's what this smells like. Now, obviously, it's not the exact same as that. You can't just go into a house from 1895 and bottle the air and go like, I made a new fragrance. It doesn't really work like that. But the woody facets here remind me of that. Obviously, there's residual sweetness from earlier, the incense from earlier, even though it's toned down. So it's gonna be a little bit different, but definitely reminds me of those memories. Reminds me of those scents, I should say. Now, I read online a few reviews from people where they said this was a really challenging fragrance, that it was something that they couldn't imagine being able to wear. I don't really get that at all. To me, it is not challenging at all. It's an incense and wood-centric fragrance. Sure, there are some other things thrown in there, but it's mainly woods and incense. That's what this is centered on. It's what it's built off of. So if you like fragrances that are in that style, then you should check this out. And I don't think that it's gonna be too challenging for most of you out there. Now, sure, if the only thing you've ever worn is Dior Sauvage, it might be a little challenging to you then. It's gonna be a big departure from that. But if you've smelled a decent amount of fragrances, I don't think it's gonna be overwhelming to you. The projection is above average for me initially, and then about an hour and a half in is when it starts to settle down into a soft personal scent cloud. Longevity on this one for me is in the 8-hour range, which is above average in my opinion, so I have no qualms with the performance here whatsoever. Not a monster, not a beast, but not weak either. Performance-wise, I think this one is great how it is. It's not a fragrance that I want to be louder than it is. I don't want it to fill up the room. I don't want it to last 16 hours. So what it does, I think it does perfectly. Once you hit the far dry down where it smells a lot like aged wood, that's my favorite part of the scent. Woody Mood to me screams out as a fall and wintertime fragrance. You can just look at the note breakdown and know this isn't something you're gonna reach for in high heat. You know, middle of summer, probably don't really wanna smell like incense and aged wood. It's not really a great match. And just the vibe, the feeling, or the mood, if you want to call it, of this fragrance doesn't really lend itself to spring. You know, when everything is coming back to life, everything is springing back, where the flowers are blooming, the trees are all green, that's not really the scent. Like I said a little bit earlier, it is a little bit dark. It gives off, at times, almost a feeling of loneliness. So it's something that, to me, cool weather, cold weather, that's it. This is one that, to me, is just perfect for when the leaves are changing color, they're starting to fall, a brisk, chilly wind is blowing through the air. I want to smell like this. And this is one I think you could wear day or night. Maybe it leans a little bit toward nighttime wear, but if it's cool outside, I'd reach for it in day just as soon as I would at night. Olfactive Studio is one of those houses that kind of gets overlooked in the niche game. You don't hear them talked about super often, but they do have some really, really solid fragrances that are extremely wearable. Of course, they do have a couple of fragrances that are not so great, but they have some really nice ones. Still Life and Rio and Still Life are both awesome warm weather fragrances, and this one, great for fall, great for winter. I'm a huge fan of Olfactive Studio. I'm gonna try to pick up more of these fragrances as soon as I can. I did actually pick up Ombre Indigo with this one, so I picked them both up at the same time. Again, at FragranceNet right now, just some sick deals on testers. So if you've ever thought about Olfactive Studio, picking them up, and you don't mind not getting the full presentation, which again, I really like, then scoop them up, because once these are gone, who knows when you're gonna be able to get deals like that again. This is actually the first time that I've seen this fragrance for this cheap, and that's why I bought it. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me for Olfactive Studio Woody Mood. If you've smelled this one, let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you haven't smelled this one, but you've smelled other Olfactive Studio fragrances, let me know what you think about those as well. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Thank you so much for your support. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow with another niche fragrance review. Thanks, guys.